doing some cheap drinking down in San Francisco, specifically. If you want to get some booze, Target. Remember all these Targets that are closing? Apparently, Targets, they don't want to physically move the stuff out to their other store. It's too hard, too expensive. So they cut that price, half off. Yeah. Drinkers rush San Francisco, Oakland Targets for insane closing sale on booze. Now, am I reading a story about that? It's not that part of the story. It's some of the information in this podcast that gives a little bit more of a background as to why these stores are closing. And it involves nudity. Who doesn't want to hear about that? Let's get into it. Here we go. Doing some cheap drinking down in San Francisco. All right, here we go. I mean, who doesn't want to get their booze half off, right? I mean, like this article says, the holidays are coming. Yeah, you can get some cheap booze. That just makes things all the better. Makes the ability to get through those family functions. Yeah, you know where I'm headed with that. You know what I'm saying. Or sometimes, makes those family functions just wildly go out of control. And you're like, why did we do that? Don't really know. Oh, well. Drinkers rushed Oakland's Shuttering Target for cases of beer, wine, and liquor after a half-off sale on all of its booze on Tuesday. San Francisco's Shuttering Target at 1690 Folsom Street. It's also holding a half-off sale on booze, although not all liquor is included. Not the ultra good stuff. I don't even know what that is. I have no idea. The only thing I drink is beer because that's basically all my stomach can handle. I know. Nevertheless, when the Standard visited on Thursday afternoon, the beer and seltzer section had been decimated by customers. Not shocking, right? People love their booze, and especially cheap booze. Who doesn't love that? Eliza Love normally goes to the San Francisco Target on Folsom Street to get cleaning supplies. But upon seeing the signs advertising half-off booze, she decided to scoop up some wine. Now, okay, that's a deal. I mean, for 50% off, how can you not love ass? I mean, that's when you just load up, right? You're like, hey, I know that wine. I drink that. It'd be like if you had Maui Brewing Company Bikini Blonde Lager, half off. Yeah. That means it would be only $20 per six pack. No, it's not that much. Not cheap though, because they got to, Maui, make it in Maui and bring it here. It's expensive stuff. Support Maui. Both sales run while stocks last or until the stores close on October 21st. Sounds like they're pretty much out, right? Shoppers have already taken advantage of the insane deals. A Target worker told the Standard the sale was not advertised. You just roll in. Good Lord. Target's got half off. It's my lucky day. When the Standard visited the Oakland store on Thursday morning, a dozen customers began streaming into the store as the doors opened. About half of these people went straight to the wine and liquor section. Bottles of Meiomi Red Blend wine. Red Blend? I don't drink wine, but I've been around a lot of wine talk, and I'm like, Red Blend? Yeah, but whatever. They were marked down from $20 to $10. And Wild Turkey 101 bourbon. Who doesn't like a little Wild Turkey to get their day going, right? Wild Turkey 101 bourbon. It was down from $24.99 to $12.49. I'll take two. The remaining bottles of Basil Hayden dark rye whiskey, that's got to be the good stuff, right? It's got to be better stuff. It can't be absolute, just top. I don't know. I have no idea. The remaining bottles of Basil Hayden dark rye whiskey were marked down from $45 to $22.49. Holly G., who declined to give her name, said she came to Oakland's Shuttering Target late Wednesday and saw 20 people lined up to buy alcohol. Hi, look at our fine shopper here. She's got that look in her eye. She's like, do I need more? Is this too much? Am I an alcoholic? I'm not sure, but it's cheap. How much more wine and booze can I put in this cart before I can no longer carry it? She is wearing camo in her outfit, so, she can hide. Those homeless people on the streets come after her. We want your booze in your cart. She's good to go. It was a zoo, she said, holding a basket full of sparkling wines. The holidays are coming, so I figured I'd grab some booze. Good call. Melody Hultgren, who has lived in Oakland for 20 years, said she was sad to see the Target store close. It's disappointing, especially with the CVS having closed nearby too, Hultgren said, holding a shopping basket full of wine bottles piled inside. Here's our next section. Naked people. We had a naked dude in the South Center Mall. I didn't do anything with the story because it's so disturbing. There's a lot of stuff I don't share with you because it's just, you don't want to have that crap in your head, right? Well, there was a big naked dude down at the South Center Mall. That's our mall down to the south of Bellevue Square by 20-minute drive, no traffic, hour and a half with traffic. Yeah, it's LA around here. But there was a big naked dude running around the mall trying to touch little children. And some of the parents, believe it or not, they got upset with this individual who was clearly out of his mind. Whether on drugs or just a mental issue, not really sure. But there's footage out there. If you type in South Center Mall naked man, you'll probably find that. I mean, could you imagine having a big naked dude coming up to your kid going, "Hey, you want a piece of candy?" Yeah, you're gonna experience maybe a little bit of beat down for that. So naked people, one Target worker who spoke anonymously to prevent retaliation from their employer. Really? Huh. Said the store has struggled with theft and aggressive people inside. And that is what I keep focusing on. It's the safety issue. They don't want to take on the liability. And if you got a smaller store, done, boom, closed, we're moving on. And that's what they're doing. Could give a crap what the numbers are, in my opinion. But the store got armed security roughly a year ago, they said. We see naked people right outside, and not just once, like multiple times, the worker said. The armed security wasn't really for the shoplifters. It was more for our safety. And we know that because the armed security isn't going after people for, like, even if you try and shoplift past them, most of the time the insurance companies have told store management it's fine to hire them, but you can't have any kind of physical alteration. You can't have any kind of tussle. It's basically like, all right, we see you shoplifting. Have a nice day. Enjoy that, whatever it is that you're taking out with the 10-finger discount, right? That's what you've got going on. So they got armed security roughly a year ago. That's if they have to have a shootout with one of these crazy nut jobs. This is literally what they're doing. Another worker said theft was common, with thieves often making off with single wine bottles or small bottles of liquor. You know, drinking's still a thing. You know, you do a little fentanyl and smoke a little whatever, and then you hit your small bottle of liquor. You're good to go, right? You just coast on into that evening. Or you take your single bottle of wine and you sell it. Like so many things being sold right now. During my shift, I'd see like 4 to 5 people stealing, a worker said. So you multiply that by how many workers, each hour, how much is being stolen. And then you get a bunch of naked people outside, sometimes coming into the store. That's where you get the armed security guard to say, hey, you know what? If you come back with some clothes on, you'll be able to shop here, and maybe some money or some form of payment, because yeah, we can't keep doing this. And yet they did. And now the shelves are empty. Clearance, 50% off. What do we got there? Oh, we've got some, that is, can I blow this up? That's that high noon. Is that what it is? I think that's high noon. I've seen that on my boat. I don't drink any of this stuff, so I'm always like, you got a big boat. You end up with a cooler full, multiple coolers full of just random stuff you've never had in your life. Vast majority of it is just terrible, and I don't drink it. But every now and then something will pop up, and I think it was Seven Seas Brewery had a good Pilsner. At random, right? 3 Bay Area Target locations are closing October 21st due to rampant retail theft, according to a Target announcement in September, and safety issues. I did that whole video on what the safety issues look like outside of Ballard. It wasn't shocking, But when you're forced to spend an afternoon just around that environment, you realize how bad it is. I mean, it's just, oh, this is not good. The retail giant is also closing 9 locations in 4 markets, which include New York City. Now that was Harlem. So upstate, right? Up city, Portland, Seattle, and the Bay Area, and 1 in Pittsburgh, California. So I covered all of those, and I covered all of them specifically. Vast majority of those were smaller format stores, and they were in areas where they'd had a number of not security breaches, but like this story says, there's naked people outside because it's in a tough area of San Francisco. Everybody knows that. Now, one of the interesting things I saw recently was in Union Square. That is the embattled shopping area where so many businesses have taken off, have left. We've done podcast after podcast after podcast on the ridiculous amounts of stores that have closed. Westfield Mall is in there, with the poop count on the elevator exploded 400% over the course of a year, something like that. Just nutty stuff. Same thing here. We are talking not far away, but at Union Square, Banana Republic just decided to open up their flagship store in San Francisco. So either they're not getting the memo that this is what we're doing, we're closing down. They're opening up the store. I think it was 3,500 square feet. Not a huge store, but a new store nonetheless, where everybody else is going the opposite direction, away from this area. But not Banana Republic. They're doubling down. They're flagship store. Plus, they got a deal on rent. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they got a deal on rent. But I'll be tracking that for you because I believe that store will not last. Now, it is a store that has a lot of household goods, so some bigger stuff. Tough to take a couch out. Know what I mean? When Target announced the closures, the company said organized retail theft in these markets had contributed to unsustainable business performance. I love corporate speak. Unsustainable. Can't keep doing it. Business performance or lack thereof. There's no performing here. That's the problem, is that, not going the right direction. Despite our efforts, unfortunately, we continue to face fundamental challenges to operating these stores safely and successfully, Target wrote in the release. I am glad somebody at Target had the balls to do this because most all of the rest of these closures, you look at the map and you go, oh, there's why. Tenderloin, or in all fairness, in San Francisco, the financial district. Now, street conditions in the financial district are not horrific. They're actually pretty clean. It is not bad. It's just that nobody's working there anymore, right? You got that whole work from home thing. You got some AI coming back in and doing a little bit of backfill. You got 30 million square feet in the downtown San Francisco that's vacant. It's going to take a long time to absorb that. Retail theft at Target stores has been well documented in San Francisco. In May, workers at the Metreon Mall Target told the Standard they see around 10 thefts a day. And that's what they see. Guaranteed there is a ton more. You know what? So it's not just the corporate numbers. We're not hitting our numbers kind of thing. It's a safety issue. You got naked people outside. I mean, that doesn't exactly scream, come into our store. It's like I've talked about multiple times. The gentleman running the art gallery who hosed down the crazy homeless woman on the sidewalk. She presented some challenges. There were some buyer objections to going into his art gallery. That's what we call it in real estate terms. How can we overcome the buyer objection of the home being located on nearly a vertical lot with some potential slide hazard down the road? How can we overcome that? You can't. So you just got to focus on something else, right? But the crazy, homeless, naked people outside, that does not scream, hey, come into our Target. Same thing in South Center. Hey, you got a naked big dude running around wanting to touch the children. I mean, yeah, parents took care of that one because who else was gonna? And the parents basically ran the dude out. Just, literally you've got insane people running around. And we all know it. And folks, who was it? It was one of the presidential candidates, younger Indian dude. I can't never pronounce his name. He was saying, we need to reverse course on involuntary commitment to mental institutions. He gets it. He gets it. If somebody wants to start talking about that, and then also the possibility of involuntary commitment to rehab, detox, you want to talk about saving some lives, but we're not doing that. We're not going that direction, are we? No. All right. Okay. Here's a couple of quick ones for you. So there was multiple cars in Ladera Heights, Los Angeles, was vandalized with swastikas, setting off fears a white supremacist was targeting the black majority neighborhood. Antifa, they were the ones that brought this to our attention. They helped bring this attention to the incidents. Last week, Robert Haymore was arrested. Unfortunately, he is a 37-year-old black man. Yeah, so that one, out of the gates, hey, we've got a white supremacist running around doing some swastika action. And then it turned out it was a convicted felon that had done about a year stint very recently in prison for assault with a deadly weapon. And it's my understanding that he's probably on parole. And so the investigative reporter that did this story, they looked into whether or not he'd been charged. This was a few days ago. He'd been charged, but he hadn't been released on bail, no bail for a graffiti incident. That is very unique. So it's probably a violation of his parole. Shocking. I know, believe it or not. But, yeah, I'm not going to do a full story on that one, but this story, I mean, they were just going with it. All right. White supremacist. We've got all the elements. Oh, dude's black. Oof. Yeah. Okay. That story just went right downhill, didn't it? Yeah. Oh, that's not going to work. And that's why you won't hear that anywhere else, right? Another one of the stories is, you got to remember, you remember the autonomous zone, CHOP, Chaz, Capitol Hill Occupy protest? I'm sure you do, right? Remember we had a garden in there? Do you remember thinking, what in the F are we doing with the garden? Are we going to feed the 10,000, whatever it was in the Bible where you got all that? Was it bread or fish? I can't remember. You broke up the manna came from heaven. All my stories are getting mixed up because I read so many current stories, right? You had a garden. They were going to feed everybody with the garden, even though it was summer and fall was coming and so many things. The garden is still there. The garden is still there, but it's being moved. They're going to move the garden. And the gardeners who, run this, the reason that they are clearing out the garden is because it's in like this bowl area that's it's like a natural, amphitheater. And so they want to have bigger events there. And only a few people can really work in the garden at one time because that's how gardening goes and really benefit from the garden. And the garden, from what my understanding, it's doing quite well, but it's in an area that is more opportune for having a bunch of people in there because it's got these great acoustics. But the Gardeners Association that's running the garden, they basically said that this amounts to action consistent with violent state projects like imperialism, colonialization, sorry, I can't read the newspaper in the dark, and gentrification. Moving the garden was like committing those types of crimes. So, yeah, the garden's going to go away. So if you're dying to come to Seattle and look at the Chop Garden, you need to do it soon because it's out of there. It's out of there. We also had some, Western Washington is loaded up with socialists. So we've had two big rallies here in Western Washington, one in Kirkland, and the city of Kirkland just totally whitewashed the event. There were some people just getting into it. And these were pro-Palestinian rallies. So yeah. And then we had another big one over at University of Washington. I would say my alma mater, but I didn't graduate from there. My son Kieran did. his alma mater, it's so embarrassing to have a university like the University of Washington that just embraces this insane socialist, dogma. It's crazy, but it's Western Washington. So that's what we're doing. They had a big rally over there, and I didn't get there because I'm recording other podcasts that are more appropriate for this channel. But if there's something out there, I'm going to hop on it. I've got all my chop jazz, gear ready to go. So I'll be doing that because I think you're going to have more of these rallies as things in the Middle East continue to not de-escalate. All right. So I caught you up on a few topics. We talked a little bit more about the whole San Francisco thing. I think we leave it there because this is an ongoing topic. What other chains are we going to see shut down individual stores? There's going to be a whole bunch because this stuff is not going away. All right. Make sure you subscribe, hit that like button, share with family, friends, whomever you think might be interested. That's the best way to get the word out about this channel. Thanks for being here, and I'll catch up with you in the next one. Bye for now.